pleasant good morning, all. I am Moeva Solomon, a science officer here at the Guyana Forensic Science Lab, Trace Evidence Department. It is my pleasure to welcome you to this auspicious occasion here at the Guyana Forensic Science Laboratory. On behalf of the staff, director, and deputy director here at the Guyana Forensic Science Laboratory Lab, I would like to welcome you. Welcome to the Honorable Minister of the Ministry of Home Affairs, Mr. Robson Ben, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Home Affairs, Mr. Andre Ali. Welcome to the officer in charge of the Guyana Police Force Crime Lab, Assistant Superintendent Ray Mercurius. Welcome to Mr. Jürgen Frank, the Regional Sales Director for Zeiss, Mr. Carl Perlata, hope I'm butchering that, product specialist at Zeiss, members of the media, special invitees, welcome all to the unveiling of our Field Emission Scanning Electron Microscope, SEM for short, Sigma 360 VP. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'll now hand you over to our Deputy Director here at the Guyana Forensic Science Laboratory for her brief remarks, Ms. Caris Griffith.
Good morning, Honorable Minister, Mr. Ben, P.S. Ali, Mr. Mercurius, Mr. Frank, Mr. Palata, GFS staff, audience, and media personnel. Welcome, and thank you for being here to witness the unveiling of yet another top-notch equipment at the laboratory. I am filled with gratitude, as this is another major milestone and accomplishment for the laboratory. In spite of several setbacks, staff have persevered and showed willingness and determination to contribute to the great achievements of the laboratory. I am grateful for those staff. No doubt, the laboratory has continued to surpass expectations by attaining and maintaining ISO 17025 international accreditation status, hiring more persons qualified in the field of forensics or an applicable field, participating and conducting in continuous training for staff and stakeholders in and out of the country, and most recently, continuously equipping the laboratory with the best to handle the current and future forensic requests. So one of the recent acquisitions, which we all are here for today, is the best in its field, is the Zeiss Scanning Electron Microscope. The SEM, as it is abbreviated, is a powerhouse with varying applications in the science field. I will not venture into much details about the Zeiss SEM, as the Zeiss representatives will highlight its greatness, but just to point out that the Zeiss SEM poses superiority to other brands due to its long lifespan. Some laboratories have had their Zeiss SEM for more than 30 years and counting. Its global forensic use, it can be found in each region of the world, from Great Britain to China to Colombia, just to name a few. It has increased analytical output. The instrument setup allows for faster processing of cases, and its numerous forensic applications. Applications such as fibers, ballistics, explosives, documents, toxicology, entomology, just to name a few. And of course, the most important for us, gunshot residue analysis. So the Guyana Forensic Science Laboratory has some boasting to do too. We are the first laboratory in the Caribbean region to have this powerful high-tech equipment. So why do we need an instrument like this, you may ask? Well, the acquisition of this instrument is critical if we are to consider the state of affairs in our country. That is the significant increase of seized firearms and firearm-related crimes over the years, of which Mr. Mercurius will be able to attest to. The GFSL's role in analyzing gunshot residue is therefore key in supporting criminal justice system, as the courts rely on our expert testimony and quality results to aid in those rulings. Also, as the premier forensic science laboratory in Guyana, we will not only be able to provide a faster processing rate of gunshot residue cases, we would also be able to support and develop other forensic sectors, particularly those of trace evidence-related crimes. That's those evidence that are of small magnitude, but they make a big impact to a case. So currently, 5 forensic experts are being trained to operate the instrument, and as soon as they are deemed competent, they will be willing and able to get the ball rolling on the forensic analysis with the SEM. Apart from our in-house training, apart from our in-house forensic use of the instrument, we can expect interest from laboratories both on the national and international level to access this gem for forensics or for academia. We look forward to supporting as we have been supported throughout the years. Of course, the acquisition of this scanning electron microscope would not have been possible without the support and representation of our Honorable Minister, Minister Ben, and Permanent Secretary, P.S. Ali, who rallied for us at the budget debates to be able to gain approval for this expenditure, for this spend. We also have Jürgen from Zeiss, who has been supporting and praying for us in the background since our initial discussion, which started in 2023, for us to be able to acquire this German branded equipment. Representatives from the Guyana Shore Base, Massey Wood, who did the necessary rigging to get the gigantic equipment into the laboratory, Projects Department from Ministry of Home Affairs, the staff of the GFSL, especially from the Operations Department. We are forever grateful and indebted to you. Thank you. The GFSL, Guyana Forensic Science Laboratory, is once again leading and making headway with forensic testing in the region. Thank you.
I would now like to invite Mr. Jürgen Frank, the representative from Zeiss, to give a brief remark. Along with a presentation.
Thank you very much. Also, thanks a lot for inviting me. My name is Jürgen Frank. I'm working for the Zeiss headquarters in Germany, and I'm in charge of our business activities here in Latin America and the Caribbean region. I brought actually a presentation which should run in a second, but before I also want to say a big thanks to all the involved people in the acquisition of this microscope, which is unique, as Jerry just said. I also want to welcome all the guests, the people from the laboratory, and of course the honored minister. It's a big pleasure for me to be here today and to speak in front of you. Okay, here we go. So first of all, big congratulations to all the involved people in the acquisition of this unique equipment. As Jerry just said, this is unique to the Caribbean, and this is really world-class standard. It's a microscope which can do a lot of different applications, not only in forensics, but of course this system is dedicated for forensics applications. And my colleague Carlos will introduce to that in a few minutes. I already pre-warned Jerry's and the other people involved in the acquisition that we don't want to have a supplier-customer relationship, but that we want to have really a partnership. And of course, when you have a partnership, you want to learn something about your partner. It's like in a marriage that you want to know your husband or your wife. And this is why I would like to spend a few minutes in explaining what the SAIS company is all about and what SAIS stands for. So I talked about building networks, about partnership, and what we do a lot in the region to support the society is that we do frequent events, not only in forensics, but also in different other application fields where we are active in, because you know microscopes can be used in so many different application fields which are of interest also for Guyana when it comes to, for example, towards oil and gas industry, towards mining, but also clinical and all kind of other applications. But coming back to forensics, as I said, we support the society a lot in order to do best practice sharing between laboratories. And this is why we also do frequently workshops and user meetings. This is just an example of one which we did in forensics back in 2019 before COVID in Bogota. In the same year, we had another one in Mendoza in Argentina, was also in 2019. And then after COVID, we just had another one last year in 2024 in Bogota once again. And I was very honored to also welcome people from this laboratory here and to share experience and best practice with other labs of the region, as I said. So, of course, SAIS has also a mission as any other company do. And we, as a pioneer of science in optics, we continue to change the limits of our imagination. With our passion for excellence, we create value for our customers and inspire the world in new ways. How we do that? Actually, the company was founded by Carl Zeiss himself, as you can see, already in 1846. So the company is now more than 177 years in the market. So it's not a company which pops up today and disappears tomorrow and leaves our partners alone. But as I said, SAIS has a long-term strategy, and this is mainly due to our setup of the company. So there are no shareholders in the back of the company, but the company is actually owned by the foundation. Means when Carl Zeiss died, his partner Ernst Abbe transferred all the shares of the company into a foundation structure, and the board of the foundation is actually occupied with ministers of the states of Thuringia and Baden-Württemberg in Germany, where SAIS is located. Means the aim of the company is still to support science and not to create money into the pockets of individuals. And accordingly, SAIS is investing a huge amount of money into research and development, but also has a social engagement by supporting stipendias and things like that. Already in the very early days, when, for example, tuberculosis was a big topic back in the 19th century, SAIS came up with the first microscope in 1857, and which looks a little bit different than the microscope in these days. Nevertheless, this microscope solution actually helped Robert Koch in these days to discover the disease and to really understand what causes the disease. And Robert Koch was actually one of our very early collaborators. You will see that there are many more just in a few seconds. But I also wanted to show you some of the milestones of SAIS during all these years. For example, we just won 2 times the German Future Prize, which is handed actually by the German federal president to specific companies which achieved that prize. Also, when you, for example, look at your notebooks, mobile phones, whatever, all this kind of technology involves chips, and 80% of the worldwide chips are actually manufactured with the help of SEIS optics. Means only 20% of chips are not manufactured by SEIS, and which is a huge number. On the other hand, also we have meanwhile more than 8 million eye surgery treatments which are done by SEIS surgical microscopes. More than 30 Nobel Prize laureates worked with our microscopes. Also at the Apollo 11 mission, more than 50 SEIS camera lenses has been on the space shuttle on the way to the moon, together with Hasselblad cameras, which have been used to produce these fantastic images which we all know from the moon landing. And also SEIS won 3 technical Oscars, so there are not only Oscars for the actors, but there is also a technical Oscar, and which was won by the SEIS camera lenses, which have been used to film movies, for example, like Lord of the Rings have been done with SEIS lenses. Also, as I just said, due to this special structure of SEIS company, we invest a lot of money into research and development. As you can see, per year, this is the figure from last fiscal year, we filed 670 patents in a year. Means it's 1 point something patent per day, which we secure. Also, the R&D investment is 15% from our revenue. A regular company usually has 3 to 4%, but as I said, SEIS is an innovative company, and it's not just to copy products in a way like Me Too products, but it's really to invest into research and development to come out with new milestones. Meanwhile, SEIS has around 43,000 employees around the world in 100 locations and 50 countries. This does not involve the countries where we are represented via distribution partner, but this is only where SEIS has direct subsidiaries. Also here you see some numbers in regards to revenue, EBIT, and how the revenue is distributed between the regions, but I don't want to bore you too much about that, so you can have a look by yourself. This is actually how SEIS is split into different divisions. We have the semiconductor manufacturing technology division, which is responsible for the optics, for the wafer steppers to illuminate structures on chips, as I just described. We also have the industrial quality and research division. This is where research microscopy solutions is a part of it, and which is represented by us here. Then we have the medical technology division, which produces surgical microscopes for regular surgeries, but also for eye care and things like that. Then we have the consumer markets, which is responsible for regular eyeglasses, camera lenses, binoculars, and things like that, which affects end users directly. Looking a little bit more into the SEIS Research Microscopy Solutions division, which we represent, as I said. So SEIS actually is a comprehensive technology partner for microscope systems, and even more important is software, and offers application solutions for leading scientists and industrial customers. So we are serving a wide range of application fields, as I just described at the beginning. So of course there is life sciences, material sciences, raw materials, industry, electronics, as well as education and routine. So forensics, for example, would run into routine like GSR analysis is quite a routine application field, and accordingly it would be located there. So we are looking today into electron microscopy, but of course SEIS features the complete range of microscopy products, starting from a pretty simple stereo microscope over wide field microscopy, confocal microscopy, over the electron microscopy range, even to X-ray microscopy. What's the special thing with this is that we are not talking here about standalone solutions only, but in these days also correlative microscopy becomes more and more a topic. Means you take images which you acquired from different technologies and overlap the results in order to get even more information out of your sample. And this is what can be excellently done with such a kind of portfolio. And while SEIS has the entire range of microscopy and not just either electron microscopes or either light microscopes. So, as I said, SEIS is already more than 175 years in the market, and we will be still there in 100 more years due to the fact that SEIS cannot be acquired by another company due to this foundation structure. And during all this time, we have partnered with our customers to push the boundaries of what is possible. Together we are creating breakthrough innovations. So once again, the partnership is what we are looking forward. We don't want to have this manufacturer-client relationship, but this partnership. Once again, here you see some of this over 30 Nobel Prize laureates which worked with our equipment in order to achieve the Nobel Prize. And most of them have also been close collaborators of SEIS. So it's not only that they have been using our microscopes as customers, but we work closely together with them to come out with even new microscopy innovations. One of these collaborators is Eric Betzig. And as you can see here, Eric Betzig achieved the Nobel Prize together with Stefan Hell and William Murner in 2014. And actually together with Eric Betzig, we came up with this lattice light sheet principle microscope, and which can even observe cellular processes as they happen in life. And this is a huge breakthrough in order to better understand the processes which are going on. At the end, and as I also said before, having equipment and provide an equipment is one thing, but even more important is to be close to your clients and to provide also the right services in addition to the equipment. It doesn't help to have the best equipment if you are not capable to use it in a good way and to the edge of possibilities, as well as if there is nobody who is servicing the microscopes in a good way. And accordingly, service is as important as the equipment. And there we are really willing and enthusiastic to go the entire way together with our partners. Means starting with the installation, with an initial training, but also with frequent support towards the whole lifetime of the equipment, to keep training again and again if needed when new application fields are coming up, for example, but also to maintain the system, to repair when needed, and to have really future assured equipment which can be upgraded and which can adapt to new applications. Because at the end, this is a big investment, and it should be a future assured investment. Means the microscope should, in an ideal case, work for decades, and this is what we're aiming for, and which is also the sustainability which we look forward. Because what does it help if you buy cheap equipment which you can use 5 years and afterwards you can scrap it and you need to go for the next equipment and you spend the same money again and again and again, and which is not how it should be. So together with our customers and partner, we continue to challenge the limits of imagination. Thank you very much, and I would like to ask Carlos to show you a little bit about the application possibilities which you can cover with such equipment and which you can see operating in live at the end of this event. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everybody. Mr. Minister, and all the authorities. I'm very grateful to have the chance to be here this morning. It's my first time in Guyana, hopefully not the last one. I've been enjoying the last few days working with forensics technicians from the lab, training to implement a few new techniques on the lab, some in a different way. I will show you very briefly, I don't want to take too much of your time, to show you more or less what are the potential of these new instruments. The few things I will show you, but that doesn't cover even just a little bit of what's possible. So in regards of what a scanning electron microscope can do, we could just make a really rough classification. We could do morphological analysis and chemical analysis, so we can take a look at how the things looks like or how they are, what their form is, and how they are chemically made, what are the kind of atoms that are composing that particular sample. So here we have like a sample like a diatom. You can see the scale bar here, this is 1 micron, so all these details are really, really tiny. And here we can see some chemical information out of steel material. So in principle, that's the basic, what we can do. We can see at small things and we can understand what are those small things made of. In forensics laboratories, if we take these two main applications groups, there are several things where we can work on firearm residues. Actually, that's the main application for this kind of instruments, because this is the best way to analyze gunshot residue, or I would say the only way to properly analyze gunshot residue. So usually in most of forensic labs, this is the main topic and this is the main application. They will be doing this day after day. But if enough time is given and you have several other cases, there are application cases on ballistic, on traffic accidents, explosives, fibers, or other types of traces, documents, toxicology, entomology, and in the end, the imagination is more or less the limit that we have. I will come very quickly with a few examples. Gunshot residue, this is the technique that is used on this microscope. Usually we collect GSR residues from suspects or from some places like a car or a table or wherever we think that might, a place where a gunshot might have occurred. And then we analyze it on the microscope looking for very small particles, and we analyze these particles individually, one after the other, to know what their morphological characteristics are, so the size and the general form, and also the composition that gives unique characteristics to these particles, so they can be defined as a gunshot residue. So this is the main topic, and this is something that the instruments can do on a regular basis, automatically, overnight, unattended, and probably will be the main application field. But nevertheless, there are a few more things that can be done, like collaborate with the ballistic departments. Quick note, very carefully, because you could contaminate a little bit the microscope, so it's, this must be made in a very careful way. In terms of traffic accidents, you can analyze, like, for example, the glasses from the windscreen or the lamps, or to understand if for example, if the light head was on during an accident or not. Also, in a car accident, we can analyze the paint, but not only for car accidents, but also for like artwork or even for currency applications. So here we have an example of what car painting looks like. It's based on different layers. We can very precisely measure all those layers and also check the chemical composition, so can be compared to what you might find in some accident place, or if you capture a car that after a hit and run or something like that. We can analyze also fibers to understand that this is part of the trace evidence that you might find in a certain place or in a subject. Fibers like rest of fabric, or from a carpet, from a curtain, or from some other natural origin. And not only that, but we can also check, for example, cutting marks to understand if some kind of fabrics, like a rope, for example, was wear out and was cut by fatigue or for an excess of effort, or if it just was cut with some kind of tools. And also in documents, we can check, for example, when there are overlapping traces to understand who signed last the document, if something was written after it was signed, to check if like toner from printers are on top of ink, if there is inkjet or from a pen, and that kind of things on documentology. Also in toxicology, not only toxicology, but also I would add like environmental crimes, where you have like some toxic material that is spilled out somewhere, or in a river or in some other water stream, and you can analyze these kind of heavy materials like lead or cobalt or antimony or arsenic or some kind of thing. You can do it in a biopsy, for example, like this one is a piece of liver, or you could do it some filtering out water from some water stream or from soil, even from leaves, to understand if the plants are getting that material out of the soil. And also entomology, so people that study small insects and stuff, to understand, even to determine, to establish perfectly a time of death in some cases. So there are some, the larvae at some point can only be seen on electron microscopy to understand some details. When the larva is a little bit bigger, it's easier with a light microscope. So this is just a few of the potential applications that the instruments can have. Also on traces like pollen, like sand, for example, to understand if you find some sand in someone's boots or shoes, and you can establish to where that person was, if you understand maybe there are some rare minerals or something like that. You are a country with some mining activity. You can understand also if there's someone like illegal mining, or we saw a lot of that application in Colombia, for example. Diatoms, in order to understand if someone was drawn in a natural water place or in someone's pool. So the microscope is a very powerful, it's a versatile tool that can be used among a lot of different application fields. Here you really need to challenge the limits of imagination, because imagination is really the limit. We were discussing with the guys today, what can we do? Whatever you can, as long as you just establish some ground rules, there is almost nothing that you cannot do. This is not limited to forensics application, and an instrument like this can be also used for research and routine analysis in natural resources like oil and gas and mining, in food industry, in steel and other metal industries like aluminum, copper, or others, automotive, aerospace, and also in academy for material science research, life science research, and many others. So in a nutshell, this is more or less what you can expect the lab start doing from now on. So, and we, as Julian said, we'll be around to support them in your applications. So
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Carlos and Mr. Jürgen, for your presentation. I'll now like to invite Mr. Mercurius to give a brief remark.
Thank you, Ms. Solomon. Good morning to everyone. Honorable Minister of Home Affairs, Mr. Robson Ben, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Home Affairs, Mr. Ali, Deputy Director, Guyana Forensic Lab, Ms. Griffith, representative from the company, ZES. It is indeed a pleasure being here today to witness this simple but significant handover ceremony for this equipment. The importance of gunshot residue testing in criminal investigation cannot be overstated. These types of evidence are critical in establishing links between suspects and crime scenes, and being able to have that forensic evidence, that verification, that independent, being able to have the power of forensics being brought to bear in these criminal investigations is significant. These evidence help to corroborate witness statements and accounts at crime scene and strengthen our ability to prosecute this matter, not merely using a confession statement or a IC statement, witness who would have observed a crime. Now, the importance of this evidence in court, as I said, cannot be overstated. What we like to see going forward is the equipment being used to support us in those investigations, in terms of having timely results on a consistent basis, and so forth. So we look forward to working with the Forensic Science Laboratory in our shared fight against crime and ensuring a safer society for all Guyanese. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mercurius. I'll now like to invite P.S. Andre Ali of the Ministry of Home Affairs.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Honorable Minister Robson Ben, member of a SICE team, Mr. Jürgen, and the technical officer, representative from the Criminal Investigation Department, Mr. Mercurius, ASP Mercurius, the management and hardworking staff of the Guyana Forensic Science Laboratory, and of course the media. Good morning, everyone. It is my pleasure to be here today at this commissioning of our SICE scanning electron microscope. The lab over the years have come a very far way, and I believe today marks a very significant milestone in our capabilities. And I'd like everyone to just give a round of applause for that. The ministry over the last few years have invested heavily into new equipment for the lab. This particular machine, the scanning electron microscope, we've had one before. It was another brand, and we've experienced some challenges with this machine, and we've had to have it fixed, and we haven't gotten the type of support we needed. It is now currently down, and it's expected to be up soon. But the support behind it was not there from the company, and I do appreciate when Mr. Jürgen mentioned that this will now be a partnership, because these machines, I believe, are very critical to our operation, especially when we live in an environment in Guyana when things are rapidly changing all around us, economically, infrastructure-wise, and so we are also seeing the evolution of crime. Last year, between the Guyana Police Force and KANU, we have seized more than 200 firearms together between those two agencies alone. And there are, it may not sound a very large number to the Argentine I see raising his eyebrow, but we have a very small population. And it's critical now, especially for us to properly identify, properly investigate, and properly identify evidence and confirm evidence that firearms were used at certain crime scenes. Bolstering the capacity to detect gunshot residue, GSR, it is come in a very timely manner, because the lab, we now have a little bit of a buildup of GSR samples, and we will work to ensure that we clear all backlogs and prioritize cases as they come in. In closing, I'd just like to again thank SICE for partnering with us. This is a significant investment of 86 million Guyana dollars equivalent, just over 370,000 euros, I believe. Like I said, the main service that we need out of this from you, SICE, is your support, because we cannot ever allow this machine any large downtime. I do know that I've learned also that it has the capacity to run 24/7, and we can analyze samples overnight as well. So we can leave samples running, and you can analyze as many as 19 samples at once. So this now gives us the opportunity to do a lot more testing of the samples that we currently have, so we can work to clear up that backlog and ensure that we lend support to crime fighting and to the justice system. So in closing, thank you and congratulations to the Guyana Forensic Science Laboratory.
Thank you, P.S. Ali. I will now like to invite the Honorable Minister of Ministry of Home Affairs, Mr. Robeson Ben.
All right, good morning. Please be seated. Thank you, Madam Chair, P.S. Andre Ali, the head of the Guyana Forensic Science Laboratory and deputy or scientist, media, unser Freund von Deutschland. Ich hatte die Möglichkeit, Carl Zeiss zu Jena. Ja, ich war Student in Deutschland. Und damals war das war die DDR. Und also too, I worked doing my thesis at the University of New Brunswick in Canada, using an SEM and an electron microprobe. And it was in relation to determining the evolutionary history of Mount Adams volcano in the Cascades Range of the United States in Western Canada. That was my thesis. And I worked on that Dr. Dunn in the high temperature laboratory at that university. One important thing which I want to point out, let me say that SEM was a JEOL, a JEOL. You may know your competitors. The important thing for us, the immediate problem we have had in terms of the GSR and related investigations is the backlog which developed as a result of the lack of support. And I guess too, to some extent, the age and type and the upgrades required and upskilling of investigators in relation to this type of investigation. the sizing, the morphology, the chemistry, and all of those things. I hear you talk about the new filters of examining and determining, even with this instrument, the more advanced techniques for which your compatriots have won Nobel Prizes. I would say for the laboratory, a significant thing which was said by Jürgen was and also repeated, was the question of challenging and reaching your imagination, and particularly the development of Carl Zeiss in Jena in Germany, and what was shown in relation to the development for health, for science generally. It's important for us, given these examples which we see were shown just now, and the fact that we have this instrument, to understand the power which it has in terms of research and development and discerning what is in the nature, discerning in the various fields, whether it is forensics, of course, for us, the environmental issues, all the other issues. So the arrival of this instrument here now is a significant acquisition in relation to science and research for Guyana, not simply for the forensic science laboratory. Of course, me as a geologist would always have an interest in coming and doing some work on it here at some point again. But for all the branches of science, of investigations and so on, health, engineering, the failure of materials and all of those things, this is a significant acquisition, a very significant acquisition. And this acquisition points out our government's approach towards bringing the technology, the knowledge and the expertise in relation to matching up with what is happening in our country. Our country, again, I repeat ad nauseum, is at the most critical and significant point of its development and growth in terms of its economy, its resources, in terms of investing in people and having our people, our scientists here too, having the opportunity to be as good as those who are at Zeiss too at some point in terms of the research and understanding and getting the training in relation to doing the investigations. As PS said, we've had over 200 gunshot residue examinations. Well, we found 200 plus firearms. We have had backlogs develop as a result of the challenges. We related with a number of neighboring countries and Mexico latest. I think they did help, but it took a long time to get us to the point where we got back some results. But we are way behind, and this acquisition will get us to the point where we're even and where we could do some other work in relation to what is happening. I keep saying that we don't make a bicycle spoke yet in Guyana. We don't make guns. Now they are 3D printed on computers. The guns are coming from the north and from Europe too, and other places where they make those things. And it's a great difficulty that we're having in relation to dealing with rising crime, which is driven by transnational issues, the drugs, the money laundering, the guns for the protection and for the threatening and the frightening of people, and for the executing of people. You know the particular problem they have still now in Trinidad and in Jamaica and the Bahamas. We really don't want to get to that point. And so the faster we get to those who are committing crimes, the faster we get to the point where we could increase the level of determining who are committing those crimes, the clear operates of the police force and so on, as we optimize that, we will be in a better position. We want to advise persons who are involved and are committing crimes, some of them repeatedly. They're not always being caught when they commit some of these crimes, that we will get to them, we will get to you, and we'll put you in the proper place. And there's an intention to raise the legal sanctions in relation to gun crimes and some other crimes. This is one of the discussions we are having with the Attorney General's chambers, and El Nanlal, Attorney General, and at the level of the cabinet, to get on top of the situation where we see the reckless use of guns, the use of it in committing crimes, and the impunity in which they are used in relation to bringing a negative characteristic, creating our environment, our living spaces more and more dangerous. The reckless use of guns, and particularly for criminal activities. I want to thank Carl Zeiss, the company, for the explanations given. I want to suggest, as they have been suggesting, that the use of these instruments and the instruments which we keep acquiring is not only limited to the issue of forensic, but for other issues, and that we should have arrangements with the other agencies for the use of the instrument and the training in the use of the instrument, so that we optimize in relation to resolving issues of a scientific or engineering nature for the challenges we have of a now rapidly developing country. So, wir sind jetzt verheiratet. We're married now, as you said. In relation to your support for our use of the equipment, and for the learning from you towards the new approaches which could be made in respect of the use of the instrument. Again, in closing, I want to suggest that as scientists, as researchers, as technologists, we have the imperative for ourselves, the individual challenge, which redounds to the benefit of the institution of the Guyana Forensic Sciences Laboratory, of examining the new vistas, the new levels, the new heights to which we could aspire and endeavor to in relation to this type of instrumentation. This is first world. This is unique for the Caribbean region. Our President Irfan Ali speaks of having our forensic sciences laboratory when we had a discussion in relation to acquiring this instrument, making it a central hub for scientific research and forensic research to support the region too, even while we resolve our own issues, but to help to resolve the issues in the region in relation to crime fighting, and those other issues. So, congratulations, thank you. Let's take a look at the instrument, because I remember when I was in a basement in Fredericton doing work on them, they were rather large, very large, very heavy. So I'm interested in the new upgraded features and to see where with microelectronics and stuff now that they are much smaller and more work can be done with them in a shorter space of time, in a shorter period of time. So I have to say too that we, with the visit of President Modi, and we have some researchers and experts here from India, that there is an MOU we're to sign with the National Forensic Sciences University of India. And so with their expertise and knowledge too, and with the acquisition of this instrument, our fields of endeavor our level of ambition should be much wider and better and higher. And we have to reach for the skies in relation to developing our awareness and use of this instrument. And we look forward to future acquisitions to improve the work at the Forensic Sciences Laboratory, in the first place for normal criminal forensics, but also to widen our reach and collaboration across the scientific research and engineering spectrum in Guyana. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you to our panelists. So we've heard about this phenomenal machine. We heard the cost, what it can do, and everything. So I am sure that everyone is excited to see this machine. So first, what will happen is that we will have to go upstairs in batches because of the space of the room upstairs. So we will start with the panelists, and then we will take a few of the media, few at a time, and everybody can get to see this beautiful machine.
Let's move.